I would like to go into uh karma a little bit here as well. You bring that up a little after the halfway point, and that ties in with meditation. So how does karma then tie in with that?
So specifically in at least some Buddhist teaching, but pretty mainline Buddhist teaching, how you'll generally hear it put, if it is going to a more technical level, is the idea that karma is the thing that keeps you in the world, and then meditation or the Buddhist lifestyle in general is a lifestyle or a technique which stops you from accruing karma. So it stops you from being um, trapped in the world. That obviously has a lot of baggage in the language about the world being a trap, the world being a prison, illusion, that sort of stuff. But it also makes this unhelpful view, and it ties to the purposeless thing, but it just sort of illustrates the problem of translating the language in that way. Because then the idea becomes, well, karma is what comes about through desire, intention, um, purposing something, seeking something. And if you take that literally, then you end up thinking, well, the problem is me desiring things. The problem is me focusing on things, intending things, purposing things. And therefore, the more enlightened way or the path to enlightenment is about destroying my own intentions and purposes and desires. We talked about that desire aspect a little bit before, but it can become about, well, if I just act completely spontaneously, if I just don't think about anything, if I never plan anything, that's the way to do it because then I'm not accruing karma, whatever that means. But that's just silly because if you're just acting on impulse, then you're a slave to your impulses. And it's not as though your impulses are unstructured, unpurposeful, um, undesirous. Like they're coming from desires, they have a purpose, they have a pattern, and they're leading you in a certain direction. So if you take this path literally, then you think, well, the Eastern path is recommending that you just don't cultivate yourself. The problem with everything is trying to cultivate yourself and getting all obsessed with it, and then the solution is just to not do that. It's like, well, no, because every path is about cultivating yourself in a certain way. So really that is the point of me bringing up karma here, is just to illustrate again one of those unhelpful translations where, I mean, if you really think that that's the truth and that you shouldn't be cultivating yourself, then why are you listening to this podcast? Why are you reading books? Like, for those of us who are sane and aware of obvious reality, we cultivate ourselves and we get better. Now, we can't fall into the trap of thinking that through cultivation we will achieve infinite perfection and therefore justify our own existences or uh, create a peace, create an eternal peace from our own actions somehow. I mean, eternal peace is only going to be, if eternal peace exists, then it already exists, and it has nothing to do with what we did. So, so that's always the caveat to the paths that talk about what we should be doing in action, and Christianity, I think, does a fairly good job at that. But so that needs to be said. But at the same time, it's just silly to say, oh, you don't need to cultivate yourself. The path to perfect peace is just not paying attention to your life and not structuring anything and having no intentions. And the Noble Eightfold Path includes right intention. So right off the bat, that's not a Buddhist philosophy. So